I think it's fair to say that K-pop has never been as big as it is right now. We have never seen the globalization of K-pop the way we are looking at right now. It's grown substantially in the last generation or so, the fourth generation, and to some extent the later part of the third generation. We have seen this huge globalization, this huge spread of K-pop and other Korean based industries like the Korean cosmetics industry, the Korean skincare industry, the K-drama industry. There have been huge globalization of the K-pop market, and in particular through K-pop. And through this, we have seen fans from all parts of the world celebrating and tuning into what K-pop is. And through this, I think companies have themselves spread into these markets to make more profits. We're seeing idols of different ethnicities, we're seeing idols of different backgrounds, we're seeing Korean idols from all over the world coming in to want to partake in this. We're seeing groups being formed in different parts of the world. We're seeing the K-pop formula, if I can call it so, being used in the Chinese market, the Japanese market, the Thai market. Everywhere we're seeing a spread, a globalization, if I can say so, of K-pop, and this in turn is leading to a localization of K-pop. What localization essentially means is when you take a concept and make it more apt to the local market that you're trying to sell it to. So take for example what HYBE is doing with And Howling, and how they've used their previous system of a survival show like they did for ENHYPEN, and created a Japanese boy group for the Japanese market that sings in Japanese. It promotes in Japanese music shows in the Japanese area. So we're seeing this localization of K-pop also rise. I think an interesting example of said localization is XG. Now, I've already made a video about XG in the past, so I'm gonna link it below and you can check that out. But my main focus here is to see how K-pop is planning to expand to the American market, more so the Western market, in this coming year, and how companies like JYP and SM and HYBE have all put forth plans to do the same. So I'm kind of going to make a critical analysis on that concept. But back to XG for a minute. If we want to see what I would say a failed attempt at localization. Now, this is not to say that they're not doing well. I love their music, I stan them, I listen to their music all the time, I enjoy their music, I partake in the fan community, and I think XG is doing well for a group per se, but I don't think they're a good example or a successful example for what localization of J-pop in the Korean market looks like. I think we're going to essentially watch these big companies be humbled by their ventures in the American market, because K-pop is big in the West right now. There's no denying that. They are a big phenomenon globally, like I mentioned. Everywhere in the world people are talking about K-pop and other Korean industries. But with K-pop per se, I think the reason that K-pop has been so successful is because there hasn't been a big Western pop idol group that has existed in a while. I think we saw after, say, One Direction and even Fifth Harmony, Little Mix was the only one that was keeping the light on for groups in the Western market, and even they eventually fizzled out, and we saw a lot of that fan base move from these groups that were no longer active to a lot of the K-pop groups and into what the K-pop idol industry is. This is a running gag on Twitter. You will find a lot of people talking about, oh, I used to be a directioner and now I'm an ARMY, and that's my story as well. So we've seen this absence in a particular group to stand or face of the pop idol group in the Western market, and that hole was kind of filled through a K-pop group like BTS, and then through extension of them, the rest of the K-pop community. I am very, very, very curious to see how that remains post creation of American-based K-pop groups. I'm very curious to see if the K-pop industry will remain afloat if you're creating the same thing for a Western market, for an American market. And also really interested to see what they will look like. Now, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that race plays a big concept. It's a big factor in the Western market. You see, look at the Grammys right now. Harry Styles winning over Beyonce is not far-fetched to say that a racial element played into that factor, especially if you read into Variety's article about how they interviewed a few people who voted for Harry Styles over the other artists in that category. So race is a big factor in the West, and to create an American group, we have to see how they will do that. Will they do it with individuals who are of Asian descent? Will they do it with a mixture of individuals who are some of Asian descent, some of non-Asian descent? Or will it be an entire group of white girls like we saw with other groups that have existed in the American market before? How they've had essentially more American looking women. And I do think it's also telling to the fact that all of the companies that are planning to start groups in the Western market are starting with girl groups, because girl groups have been so successful. But I don't really know how they'll be able to do that while still maintaining the popularity of K-pop. I think the moment there is a big group in the Western market with say white boys like One Direction, BTS's demand is going to go down. It's the demand of most boy groups from K-pop is going to go back to the way it was. I don't know if I can say the same for girl groups, but let's take a look into what it could mean. Starting with JYP and their localization to the American market through their project A2K. If you're not familiar, it's a collaborative effort by JYP and Republic Records in America, and they're trying to create a girl group for the American market through a survival show. Now, that is red flag number one, how it won't work, because survival shows not popular in America. Even American music shows are not doing as well. Look at X Factor, look at The Voice, look at all of these other platforms that gave us groups previously that we enjoyed, like Fifth Harmony and One Direction and Little Mix. Those channels, those shows, not as popular anymore. They have gone down in popularity. So JYP's idea of creating a group through an already failed channel seems alarming through a marketing perspective to begin with. The second big issue that they have already received a lot of criticism for is the members' ages. So for the survival show, they put out the age group requirement as 12 to 17. That's literally teenagers. No successful American girl group has ever been successful while they had teenagers in it. Even Fifth Harmony, when they started off, They were not successful because they were creating music appropriate for teenagers. When they started exploring a more mature, a more adult, more sexy concept is when they started gaining popularity. Same is for Little Mix. If you want to look at other groups that have been successful in the past, look at Destiny's Child, look at the Pussycat Dolls. All of them have done more sexy concepts and have had more mature concepts that they've discussed. And this is a big trend in the West. They do not want to see kids pop. This is why itzy is not popular in the West. It was JYP's idea to make them a big K-pop group for the Western market, and they chose a genre that does not show success in the Western market. And I think we're gonna see the same issue happening with these groups as well. That is not to say the intervention of Republic Records could not, help boost them. They could probably tell them what will work, what won't work, and how they can go about it. But I don't think a survival show is a good way to do it. I think the way survival shows work, it's essentially overworking and overexploiting and all of these things that are so negatively looked on by the Western market. The Western market has a big demand for people who are advocates right now. A lot of people who are at the top have had advocacies that they promote, have been faces of advocacy movements. It's racial diversity, queer, body positivity, all of these aspects that are being promoted in the Western market, rightfully so, which when we're looking at what survival shows create are not going to be the same. Like, no one's going to care about an overworked group of teenagers. That will not, get the attention of your average Karen to say. Plus, JYP's history of English music, not good at all. None of their English music has, for any of their groups, been able to make that much of an impact. The ones that do make an impact do so because of pre-existing fan bases, not because they've been able to tap into the American market per se, but have only been able to tap into the already existing K-pop fans in the Western world. And this is for JYP, and I think we're going to see probably a worse off attempt, if it ever comes through, by SM Entertainment. Now, we've been hearing about NCT Hollywood for way too long. They've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and it has not come to fruition. And if we're looking at SM's situation right now, it seems less likely that it will come into fruition. The way things have been going at the company, not good. So we have with SM two routes that can be taken at the moment. If we are talking about the current hierarchy that remains and HYBE don't get involved, then I don't feel far-fetched to say that NCT Hollywood is going to be a flop. We've already seen the NCT fans who are not excited about this at all. I mean, the memes around it are great, but the fan culture has already showed you that it's not something they want. It's not something they want their group to be expanded into. So I think NCT Hollywood will not work, and if SM wants to do something for the American market, these ideas are not the way to go. Even Super M, they created Super M, Lee Suman created Super M as a direct response to BTS's popularity in the West, and even they weren't able to make that big of a noise in the American market. Like I said, they were only able to reach the already existing K-pop fan base in the Western market. They weren't able to gain the attention from the Western market like a BTS did. And with the other concepts that SM is promoting, like the Kwangya and the SMCU, people don't care. The average Joe doesn't care about that. They don't care to get involved into such a deep, long story. It's very difficult to get into for a new fan. So I think these ideas and these concepts kind of push K-pop away from the average American viewer. And if SM Entertainment were to reach the American base, none of their ideas that they've had so far is the right way to do about it. However, I do think if SM and HYBE come together and then they promote in the American market with a new group, there could be some success to that. Because HYBE's done it. HYBE is the only one who has been able to create a K-pop group that was substantially successful in the West, and that's BTS. JYP tried to do it with Twice, but Twice's success in the American market is not because their marketing was good. It's because anyone who got into K-pop always heard about the nation's girl group and by default got involved in them. None of the other JYP groups have also been able to make that much of a splash in the American market. Heck, none of the SM groups have been able to do it. BTS is what the K-pop community leaders dream of when they want to achieve that success in the Western market, and it's very, very difficult to replicate. With BTS, yes, a major factor was their fandom. They already had a big fan base, so it was tapping into that, and that was what was growing. But the average person also gained interest through a lot of the way that they had broken away from this perfect idol concept. They are more approachable, they are more authentic, or appear to be more authentic. This whole concept of self-producing was a big thing that got people's attention. So I do think HYBE has more of an understanding of how to reach the American market through the way that they have done things with BTS. Another big thing that HYBE has is Ithaca Records, which is the company that has created both Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, and their head of that department is Scooter Braun. Big name in the American music industry. So him being associated with HYBE, him and Bang Chi-hyuk being known to each other, being in development with the new HYBE x Geffen girl group that they're creating for the Western market, I do think they're more likely to see success than any of the other companies because of Scooter Braun's involvement and knowing what works for the American market. Plus his connections. He's a big name, like I mentioned, so it'll be easier for him to be able to promote the group that they're creating. With their group, again, I do think the semantics of how they look will play a big factor into their success. If it is an all-Asian girl group, I don't know how much success they'll be able to have, and if they're going to be promoting in the American market because of race being such a big factor. But if it is a more diverse group which has, say, a mixture of ethnicities but still predominantly white, they will still be able to get more success in the Western market because of how much that aspect appeals to an average Western audience. But I do think this whole attempt to localize K-pop to the American market will, one, humble all of these big companies because they don't care, right? The average American doesn't care, oh, there's a new group coming out of JYP or a new group coming out of HYBE. They don't care about that. The big three doesn't mean anything in the American market. It's all going to be about the music you create, the concept you create, the individuals that are going to be in the group. It's all about them. If they're going to be perfect cookie cutter idols, they're not going to appeal to a larger global audience. They have to be more authentic and more approachable and more vocal about a lot of things. So yeah, that's what we're at right now. I think for HYBE x Geffen, the timeline of when they are going to be debuting is sometime in the second quarter of this year. So that kind of drove me to talk about it because it is happening pretty soon. With JYP's group A2K and the survival show that follows it will also be happening sometime in this year. So we are going to be seeing K-pop's American venture, if I have to say so, in this year, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how it works, how it doesn't work, what route they go, how differently every company is going to handle it. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that's all from me. This is where I'm at. I'm really excited to see how some of these groups are going to turn out. Like I said, HYBE x geffen is coming pretty soon, so I think we can look forward to that. And I do think amongst the mix they will be the most successful. I don't know how successful they will be in the entire of the American market, but it will be interesting to see how these companies go ahead with the localization of K-pop in the American market and what that in return would mean for the K-pop market in general. But yeah, these are my views. Do share yours. I would love to hear a lot of what you think about this, because there isn't a lot of conversation about this online. I do think the more closer we get to the group's debuts and the JYP survival show, there will be more nuanced conversations around it, and everyone's excitement, non-excitement on the same will be seen. But where are you at right now? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be successful? Do you think it's going to be unsuccessful? Just share your thoughts about the whole thing. But yeah, that's all from me. I hope you liked this video. It's a little different than what I usually do. I don't go so deep into topics that are not relevant at the moment. But tell me if you liked it. Tell me if you hated it. Tell me if you would like to see more videos like this. I'm currently working on my Boys Planet demo stages rankings. There are a lot to go through, and more than just ranking all of them, I'm also giving them my own evaluations. So it's taking a little longer than I planned, but it should be out within the next day or two. You can also check out other Boys Planet content that I'm making and other videos like this that I have made. I've also made a video about the SM situation, which now that there's so much more information about that situation, I'm thinking about making an updated video because the new information negates what I said previously. So yeah, look out for that. But yes, thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.